currently on a mission to be creative again. Something you may or may not know is about 6 months ago, I broke my leg very badly, landed up in hospital, strong painkillers, surgery, more strong painkillers, a flight home because I was on vacation at the time, a flight home, and then lots more painkillers and not being able to walk and lots of physio. And as you can see, I'm walking now, I can stand, but it's been a long journey. And I've been dealing with a lot of rehab exercises every single day at home, working, and everything else that's on my plate. And something that's really been set aside is my creativity. So when I saw John Cleese's book on creativity called Creativity, a short and cheerful guide, I thought, I should read that. And as the title suggested, it's short. It took me less than an hour to read the entire book. But one of the most important lessons I relearned in this book was that creativity and play go hand in hand. So I want to talk about this book today and some of the lessons that came out of this for me as I'm trying to re-engage my creative mind. Because of course, John Cleese is one of the funniest, most off-the-wall creatives that I've ever met. Like he wrote A Fish Called Wanda, for example. If you don't like that movie, I don't know why you're here. Okay, so I was curious on his take about creativity. Number one, he talks about the importance of play and creativity. It's one of the key messages. Creativity is about play. And when you play, you can't play wrong. Play is about, there's no wrong way to do this. That's what play is about. When you're playing, you're not looking for the right way to play. Think about this big random bucket of Lego. And there's this kid building a castle. And somebody comes along and you can't use that random bucket of Lego for castle. It's only for dinosaurs. It's Lego, man. Do whatever you want with it, right? Okay, so talking about somebody coming and interrupting the kid, his next thing is interruptions kill creativity. Now, if you're a parent, if there's anyone who's a parent, y'all know this already, right? It kills creativity. So when this kid is building his masterpiece castle, but every few minutes somebody comes and interrupts him, he's not going to get very far. And John Cleese posits that after every interruption, it takes up to 8 minutes to get back into the flow of what you're doing. So if you decide you have a 19-minute play segment and 3 people interrupt you for 5 minutes each, that's 15 minutes of interruption, and then it takes you 8 minutes to get back in, that's 24 minutes of getting back in, 15 plus 24, it means that you've been interrupted for 39 minutes out of your 90 minutes, which means you only have about 51 minutes to play. No wonder I feel like I get nothing done, right? I don't know if you feel that way. Sometimes I feel that way. So what do you do about the interruptions? Well, you set boundaries for creative time. You decide that your creative time is an important piece of who you are and your personal development and your love of play and just making yourself happy. So this is where he suggests we need boundaries of both space and time. So lock yourself in a room, lock yourself in a closet, whatever works. That's the space part. If you need to put a sign on your door that says, don't interrupt unless the house is on fire, do it. I've done it, just so you know. And then set a timer. So, for example, play for 90 minutes. But if that doesn't work, play for 30 minutes or play for 60 minutes. Cleese suggests that when we first try this, we're not going to do it very well. We're going to be locked in that closet or in our office with a sign on the door or a little 90-minute thing going on. And we're going to be thinking, I wonder what the kids are doing. And I should check Instagram. And oh man, I'm kind of hungry. Maybe I should. Oh, I didn't make a tea before I came. That's what we're going to do. Our mind's going to be all over the place. It's kind of like trying to meditate. But stick with it, because if you stick with it, you will train yourself. I'm going to train myself to sit my butt in a chair and be creative. Cleese is not wrong about that. It's something I do with my clients. So if you need, if you need a reason outside of I want to be creative for people to not interrupt you, join a meeting of creative minds. I host every Monday a 90-minute working session. My clients love it for just this reason. The idea is that we're setting up a boundary of time. My clients have to set up the boundary of space, but it's easier to do that when you're telling your family that you have a very important appointment. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, you have an appointment with someone else. If it's someone else, yeah, we can respect that. And so they'll leave you alone. So you set up a time of space, set up a boundary of time and space, and that's your time to work. So I don't really understand though, why do we need to have a meeting with someone else? I mean, I do it every Monday for my clients because they can then use the excuse, you have to leave me alone in my office. I have a very important meeting. Why don't we respect when we have meetings with ourselves? That's another video, I suppose. All right. Now, because he says, when you first start, you're going to be, checking your phone and spying on the kids and doing all this stuff. He said, what's normal is that creativity flows and ebbs. So, what are you doing in this 90 minutes? You're playing, and that's it. You're just playing. If nothing comes, oh well, nothing comes. You're just going to sit there and don't look at your phone and don't peek on the kids and, just sit there, daydream, let your mind wander, whatever you want. I love the analogy he uses in his book. He says, when you're eating, you don't put a fork full of food in your mouth, look at the fork and go, oh, the fork's empty. I should stop eating, right? You go look for more food on the plate. Same with you, same with me. Sometimes our ideas and words flow, sometimes they don't. And creativity is a practice. I've been out of practice, and so this was a really good reminder of me on how to get back into my creative practice. And then the other thing he talks about, and I talk about this with my clients, and um, I use different words, but I really liked how he explained it. So I'm going to use the words John Cleese uses. And Cleese actually refers to this other guy named Guy or Guy, depending on what language, Guy or Guy Claxton. It's probably Guy Claxton, but who knows? And he came up with this idea of a hare mind and a tortoise mind, kind of like the hare and the tortoise race. Your tortoise mind wanders. It's open to ideas. It welcomes uncertainty. Your hare mind is analytical and purposeful. It does not like uncertainty. Now, both of these minds, our hare mind and our tortoise mind, have a place in our world, have a place in our creative practice and our creative process. Your tortoise mind writes your first draft. Your hare mind edits that first draft. But this is really important. The hare mind and the tortoise mind don't work simultaneously. They work at different times. So stop editing while you're writing. The tortoise mind comes up with brilliant ideas. Not all the time. Your tortoise mind isn't always going to be spewing out brilliant ideas. That's not how the brain works. You're not going to spew out beautiful word combinations every time, but it is the one that does that creative, big idea, wonderful words. That's normal to have wonderful words and creative ideas sometimes, and other times to feel dry. So don't be critical of yourself or of playtime. And don't be critical of yourself during playtime. And don't be critical of playtime during playtime. Just play. The tortoise and the hare are going to work together as partners. They iterate this whole generating ideas and words, refining them, generating ideas and words, refining them. Allow both of them to take place in your creative practice. That's what I'll be working on myself, is creative practice, sitting my butt in a chair, having space and time, all of these things. Now, where did John Cleese come up with all these ideas? It was part of his personal journey to creativity. So one of the things he tells us in this book is that he started out as a science major. He did his A levels in England. He was English, so in England you do your A levels, which is like your advanced tests. He did science, like physics, or science and math, and physics and whatnot. And then he was accepted into Cambridge for a law degree. And no one had ever really suggested to him that a creative path, a creative career path, was an option. He was really just like directed to science and very kind of analytical things. But at Cambridge, while earning a law degree, he met a group of people, found an alternative path that led him on a more creative adventure that ended up with giving us Monty Python, Fawlty Towers, and so many more creative laughs. So what can you do today to get started on this. I'm going to give you 3 ideas. Number 1, set those boundaries for creative time. Set those boundaries of space and time. Look at your calendar, carve out some time. Create a do not disturb sign. Set a timer for a short session, even 15 minutes. That's great. Just be creative, draw something, doodle, write a poem, do something creative, even for 15 minutes. Number 2, embrace play. Explore playfully. Remember that creativity is about play. Reflect on that. Just let that sink in. Take some time thinking about creativity is about play, and in play, you can't do anything wrong. So you got to turn off all that judgment and just take some time to be playful and take a playful approach to my writing and my creative process by experimenting different ideas, different techniques, and doing just fun stuff. Allow yourself to explore without the judgment or the pressure to be perfect. And number 3, balance your tortoise mind and your hare mind. When you sit down to be creative, think about, am I in the open exploratory part or am I editing today? So identify whether you're in tortoise mind or hare mind when you're working on your creative projects, and make room for both your tortoise mind and your hare mind during your creative time. So let your tortoise mind come up with come up with ideas and wonderful words, and then later at a different time separate them, separate session, switch to your more analytical, purposeful hare mind to start refining some of the ideas and refining your language. So book, Creativity, a Short and Cheerful Guide, written by John Cleese. It's an excellent book for anyone who, like me, is feeling a little out of touch with their creative process. And so if you're feeling that way, go grab yourself a copy. It's like an hour max to read, and enjoy being creative again.